Hare Krishna. We are in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter is titled Sankhya Yoga. In this chapter, Krishna addresses the concerns of Arjuna. In the first chapter, Arjuna raised various concerns why he doesn't want to fight. And in this chapter, Krishna gives the reasons why Arjuna has to fight. So, in the first set of verses, 1 to 10, Arjuna still gives the reasons and finally surrenders to Krishna. Krishna, you tell me what is good for me. I'm totally confused. Then Krishna starts speaking Bhagavad Gita. In 11 to 30 verses, Krishna spoke about Atma Gnana, the knowledge about the soul. So that's when the concern of Arjuna is addressed. Arjuna thought killing the Bhishma or Drona would kill them forever. Their eternity they'll be gone forever. Okay? Krishna says, what dies is a body, not the soul. Soul is eternal. For a soul, there is no death. There is no reason for you to be compassionate about. So that's the reason Krishna spoke this Atma Gnana, knowledge about the soul. And later, 31 to 37, Krishna spoke about Karma Kanda philosophy. So this is to address the concerns of Arjuna, other concerns, where Arjuna says there is no enjoyment in fighting. What will I get when I fight by killing all these my relatives? I'll get a sin. If I fight, I'll get a sin. These are the concerns of Arjuna. And Krishna says, there is enjoyment. Don't think there is no enjoyment. There is enjoyment. If you win the battle, you enjoy the kingdom. If you lose a battle, you go to heaven. There's still enjoyment. For you, there is no reason to be worried about. And about the sin, Arjuna said, I'll get a sin. Krishna saying, if you don't fight, you'll get a sin. Because fighting is your prescribed duty. Just as a soldier has a prescribed duty to attack the enemies on the battlefield, similarly, Arjuna's position is a soldier. So that is the reason that's his prescribed duty to fight. So when you fight, when you do your prescribed duty, there is no sin. But if you ignore your prescribed duty, you will get sin. And Krishna further goes about sinful reaction, argument of Arjuna. Arjuna said, Krishna, I'll get a sin and also I'll get a sinful reaction. I have to go through the suffering, papa. And Krishna says, you work like a karma yogi. No need to worry about that. You work, you do your action, but work like a karma yogi. When you work like a karma yogi, there is no reaction to your action. And Krishna says how to work like a karma yogi. There are three things involved. One has to work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, as a service to the Supreme Lord. Second thing, one has to offer the result to the Supreme Lord. Offer the result, success or failure. Offer it to the Supreme Lord. And also third one, not to get attached to the work itself. There are three things involved to work like a karma yogi. So here Krishna is saying, when you work like a karma yogi, there is no sinful reaction. There is no reaction for your action. And Krishna further goes, when you work like a karma yogi, you'll come to the stage of a self-realized soul. Krishna is emphasizing the importance of working. There is no scope for Arjuna to run away. There is no scope for Arjuna to run away now. So Krishna is saying, he's giving the carrots to Arjuna, that when you work like a karma yogi, you'll come to the stage of a self-realized soul that will help you in liberation. You'll get liberated. Arjuna was really impressed. He was really inspired, to work like a karma yogi and to come to the stage of a self-realized soul. Then he puts forward certain questions. How can I identify? I want to become that self-realized soul. How can I identify that self-realized soul? When I see him outside, walking on the streets or in the Walmart or Costco store. When I see him, how can I identify? Right? And what are his symptoms? How does he react to certain situations? How he controls his mind, how he controls his senses. Even though living in this world, how he lives like a self-realized soul. These are the questions of Arjuna. And Krishna says everything about this self-realized soul, but it is also applicable to us too. We are not a self-realized soul, but we are trying to be self-realized soul. And everything whatever Krishna spoke, all the verses from 54 to 72, these are all applicable to us in our real life. So we'll go through one by one. So this is a complete section of a self-realized soul. I'll quickly cover in a few minutes. So self-realized soul, Sthita Prajna. Prajna means intelligence. Sthita means fixed intelligence. A person who has fixed up his intelligence. If a person fixes up his intelligence on food, eating food every day, tons of food, right? He fixes up his intelligence on food. What will become? He'll become heavyweight, and he also get diseases, health problems, right? Health problems. So if a person fixes his intelligence on something, he'll think about it and he'll create problems to himself and others. So if a person fixes his mind or intelligence on, sorry, I'm getting echo. Let me mute. Okay. So if a person fixes his mind on money, he always think about money, always tries to find a way to accumulate more and more money, right? If a person fixes his mind on a gold or any items, so he's more into that, right? So he'll get caught up into that. So Sthita Prajna, so Krishna is not talking about that person who fixes his mind on material things. Krishna is talking about a person who is fixing his mind on the spiritual thing, about Atma or Paramatma. The person who fixes his mind or intelligence on Atma or Paramatma, what are his qualities, how he lives in this world. So this person does not have any desires. He gives up all desires. He does not have any desires. He is self-satisfied. His happiness is not from external things. His happiness is not from a car or a gold or many attractive things in this world. His happiness is not from many attractive things in this world. His happiness is from within. He's always self-satisfied. And 56, 57. This person is undisturbed because his satisfaction is from within. Is undisturbed. He remains neutral to dualities. If someone is appreciating him, no problem. If someone is criticizing him, no problem. He's not unaffected, right? Honor, dishonor, gaining or losing anything, he stays neutral. He's not disturbed. Okay. Why he's not disturbed? Because he knows very well how to control his mind and senses. He controls his mind and senses like a tortoise, Tortoise pulls his limbs, right? How turtle pulls his limbs when there is a danger. This Sthita Prajna, self-controlled soul who has his mind fixed on Atma or Paramatma, he knows very well how to pull his senses back. Senses run, but he knows very well how to pull it back and keep them in control. That way, he's not disturbed. We'll see how these are all applicable to us, but these are we all covered in our previous sessions. I'm giving a quick glimpse of it. Then Krishna further says, Krishna also saying here that sense control, trying to pull the senses from sense objects. So what are senses? We have the sense organs like eyes, ears, nose. These are sense organs. Senses is a sense of vision, sense of smelling, sense of tasting. These eyes want to see a beautiful thing, always beautiful thing, get attracted to seeing beautiful thing. It could be a woman, it could be a house, it could be car or gold, anything. Right? That is a sense of vision. They always pull us. Right? Again, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. Right? Sense of taste. The tongue wants to taste the delicious things, delicacies. So this is how senses pull us. But this person, self-realized soul, he knows very well how to pull back his senses by giving the senses higher taste. The higher taste Krishna talks about is fixing the mind on the Supreme Lord. Right? And Krishna here himself acknowledges that sense control is hard. Even the wise people, great yogis also get distracted by the senses. It is really hard. But again, here he's saying it is possible. He gives a problem, he also gives a solution. The solution is it is possible. Don't worry. Just fix your mind on me, mat paraha. Right? Fix your mind on me. By devotion to me, only then your mind, your senses, everything will be controlled. You don't run behind external things. You don't look for happiness from external things. And Krishna further gives 62 and 63. What happens when a person mind and senses are uncontrolled? Mind and senses are uncontrolled. We look into this in detail today. Senses in contact with sense objects, right? He'll get agitated. His mind get agitated. He thinks about it again and again. I want it. I want to enjoy. Right? So that becomes attachment, lust, anger. Anger, memory is lost, intelligence is lost, and there's a fall down. So this is a verse we'll look into that today in detail. But a person who knows how to fix his mind on the Supreme Lord, right? He attains a peace of mind. Right? Senses are automatically controlled. So when there's a peace of mind, there's no distress. Distress is automatically destroyed, right? And Krishna 66 says, when there is no peace, there is no happiness. When there is no peace, there is no happiness, right? And Krishna further gives 67, like just gives an example, analogy, just as like a strong wind sweeps away the boat. These senses are so strong that will sweep away our intelligence, our mind. Will be pulled, will be dragged by these senses. And this Sitapagna, by fixing his mind on Krishna, he knows very well how to restrain the senses. And Krishna also gives an analogy. What is night for all the people is a day for Sthitapagna. What is day for Sthitapagna is a night for normal people. We look at it in detail. This is a tricky thing. We'll try to decode what Krishna says there. And this Sthitapagna is undisturbed because his mind is intelligence fixed. Krishna gives analogy just like an ocean. Ocean is undisturbed. How many rivers go into the ocean? Ocean remains ocean, right? It never get disturbed. Similarly, a self-realized soul, a person is fixed his mind, intelligence to attain liberation, to attain moksha, to attain the Supreme Lord. His senses are not so much distracted, and he remains undisturbed, even living in this world. And Krishna gives the qualities of Sthitapagna, and the destination, the destination he attains is the Brahma Nirvana. He attains a blissful state, attain liberation from this material existence. So this is the 72 verse 72 is the end of the second chapter. We are in the 60, yeah, we completed 59 and we'll go start from 60 and we'll see how far we go. So we looked at this verse, right? Senses naturally pull towards the sense objects for enjoyment, right? So Krishna here is saying, give that sense a higher taste, then lower taste will naturally go away. So we looked at this in our previous session. So just like a child, this child is crying for a toy, like a $1 toy, $1 toy. She's crying so bad for a $1 toy, right? She looked at the toy. What happened? Senses Her eyes, her vision contacted the sense objects. Sense object here is a toy. So we can use this example for anything, right? So senses in contact with sense objects, the agitation started. She wanted to have the toy. She's desperate. She's desperate about the toy, right? And how to get her mind out of that? If she's crying so bad, we have to give her something higher than that, right? If I give something to eat, delicious ice cream to eat. If she likes to eat ice cream, if I give the delicious ice cream, she says, "Yeah, I want that." She doesn't cry for the lower things, because she's experiencing a higher taste on this ice cream. So she's not too much worried about this $1 toy, right? The same thing. So when one experiences higher taste by connecting the mind and senses unto the Supreme Lord, the hankering to accumulate or deriving pleasure from material things will naturally go away. So that is the essence of this verse. So we looked at various stories also, right? I think we talked about the story Dhanurdasa, the story of Dhanurdasa. So his happiness, his deriving happiness by looking at his wife, and he was walking backwards. So that's where Ramanujacharya, he took him to this Ranganath temple, and he requested Lord, he offered prayers to Ranganatha to show the eyes. This person, he thought his wife has a beautiful eyes, and he argued with Ramanujacharya, there's no one has a beautiful eyes than my wife. Then Ramanujacharya says, if that is your taste, okay, I'll show you something higher than that. The higher than that is the eyes of the Supreme Lord. This person had the good fortune to see the eyes of the Ranganath. He fainted, and that's how he developed higher taste. And his lower taste, to looking at his eyes of his wife was gone. He's not no more doing that. I'll skip this story. But the story of a Dhruva Maharaj, we know from Bhagavatam. So initially he wanted, I'll keep it short, considering time. Dhruva, when he was insulted by his stepmother, he wanted to become the king of the universe. Right? He wants to attain a position higher than his all the fathers and forefathers have attained. So he performs on the way he meets Narada Muni, and he performs various austerities, Ashtanga Yoga. So Lord was very pleased, and Lord he appeared in front of Dhruva. At that time, Dhruva says, he was unable to speak in the beginning, but Lord Vishnu touches his with the conch shell, then he was able to speak. That time Dhruva says, my Lord, I'm here. I did all these hard austerities for a lower taste, that is to attain, position like more than my forefathers. Like I want to become a king. I wanted to become a king of the universe. Now I have seen you. All my lower taste is gone. Right? I don't want any of those. I want you alone. I want to serve you. So in the life of Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. So during his tenure also, like there were many hippies. Hippies is like the youth age, like in mid 20s, 20 to less than 23 years old. So they used to drink alcohol, take drugs, and roam on the streets. They were away from their home, they were away from their parents. They used to live like animalistic life. Right? So that was the taste. They were enjoying like that, like an animals. Right? So that's where like they happened to meet Srila Prabhupada in the park, and where Srila Prabhupada was chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So they got attracted, and they later became a saintly people. Right? And their lower taste from the drugs or alcohol, from the woman, it's all gone. Right? So that's the higher taste Krishna is talking about. Okay. Verse 60, here in Krishna says, Krishna is acknowledging the fact that yes, senses are very strong, And even the wise men, even the great yogis also get distracted, they'll fall down. How? So we'll see this. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushaha vipaschistaha indriyani pramadhini haranti prashabham manaha. O Arjuna, although endeavoring to control the senses, even for a man of full discrimination, the senses are so strong and impetus that they forcibly carry away the mind. So Krishna himself is saying, everything nice, when we hear, it's very nice to hear, but practically is it possible? Krishna himself saying, yeah, even for the great souls, self-realized souls, for the great yogis also, this self-realization, this controlling mind and senses is not possible. Senses are so strong, they pull us, they drag us. So there is a nice story in Vishwamitra. Nice story of Vishwamitra. He was a great yogi. He wanted to become a Brahmarshi. Okay, so he looked at a Vashishta Muni and he wanted to attain the same stage like an Vashishta Muni. He was envious of Vashishta Muni and he wanted to become a Brahmarshi like Vashishta Muni. And he went into the forest and he performed. He was a king before, but later he went to the forest and he performed various austerities, severe austerities. So severe, at one point his mind, senses, everything were controlled, totally fixed. He's fixed his mind on his soul, and Atma and Paramatma was undisturbed. But Indra knows very well Lord Indra. So this person is going to may attain the position of Indra. So Indra was like, okay, let me send Urvasi. So Indra sent Urvasi. Urvasi went there. She just did a sound of a bangle, this bangle sound. And Vishwamitra's senses, he opened his eyes, looked at Urvashi, and his senses got agitated. And he married her and he got a children. Yeah, he got a child. Yeah, so that's how senses are really, really strong. How much we control, suppress it, it multiplies. Right? How much ever we don't want, it multiplies that we hanker for it. Right? So what is the right way to engage mind and senses? Yes, Krishna, you're saying this is really hard, but tell me a solution. You're telling me a problem, tell me a solution. The solution is sense control is possible only by devotion to Supreme Lord, right? Paramatma. Can someone read this real quick? The Sanskrit you can read on the left side and English on the right side.
Yes, Prabhu. Tani sarvani samyamya, one who restrains his senses. Yukta asita matparaha, and fixes his consciousness upon me. Vashehi yasyandriyani, keeping the senses under full control. Tasya prajna pratishtita is known as a man of steady intelligence.
Thank you, Prabhu. One who restrains his senses and fixes his mind upon the Supreme Lord, keeping the senses under full control, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Tita pragnatam. Tasya pragnam pratishta. Pragna means intelligence. Pratishtita means fixed intelligence. 100% fixed. 100% fixed. Right? How? By controlling his senses. Senses will go. He knows where he will pull it back and fixes on Krishna. When senses are running away, in our senses, like sense of eyes, or if we get attracted to it, a beautiful thing like a beautiful car, or a woman, or a gold, or a $1 million house, anything we get at, when we get attracted towards thing, pull back, fix it on Supreme Lord. That such a person is called Pragna Pratishtata, right? Is steady, is fixed in intelligence. So this also means like sense control is really not is hard, But when we pull it and connect it to Supreme Lord, then sense control is possible. It's easy. It's not too hard. Krishna is giving the solution here. In the previous verse, there's a problem. Krishna acknowledged that, yes, sense control is really hard. In this verse, he's saying it's easy just by fixing the mind upon the Supreme Lord. Then the question comes, how to fix the mind on Krishna? Okay, Krishna, you're telling me, tell me in detail more about how to fix my mind on Krishna, on you. So this we can take from Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So in this verse, Prahlada, Bhakta Prahlada, he is saying to his friends, is that Shravanam, one can fix his mind by Shravanam. Shravanam means hearing. Hearing about Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, or Bhagavad Gita, the message or instructions of the Lord. Right? Shravanam Kirtanam, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, right? And Vishnu Smaranam, remembering, contemplating on the form of the Lord. So by meditating on the Supreme Lord in various ways like this, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam Bandhanam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam, surrendering oneself unto the Supreme Lord. So one that way, one is fixing his mind unto the Supreme Lord. His senses will not run towards unnecessary things by which one would get distracted. Okay. And we look at other verse here. So we looked at in previous verse how mind and senses get distracted, how one can control the mind and senses by connecting one to the Supreme Lord. And Krishna here in this verse, he says, if a person doesn't control his mind and intelligence, what will happen? Right? What will happen? What are the consequences if a person doesn't control his mind and senses? Okay, maybe I'll have someone to read it. You can read the Sanskrit in full and again English later. So these are two verses combined. One is 62 and 63. Good, Aditya.
Yeah. Dhyayato vishayam pumsaha sangaste shupajayate Sanghat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinaso buddhinasat pranasyati.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And read English. Yeah. You want to read English also? Translation?
Yeah. While contemplating sense objects, one develops attachment for them. From such attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion 16 arises.
Oh, that's a
From
typo.
delusion, yeah,
Good.
yeah. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is lost, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material ocean.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditya Prabhu. So here in this verse, Krishna is talking about a person whose mind and senses are uncontrolled. How one's mind and senses will get uncontrolled, we can see here. And what happens when a person's mind and senses are uncontrolled? Right? Step one. It's a two verses here. Dhyato Vishayan Punsa, Sanga Sanja Upajayate, Sanga Sangayate Kama, Kamat Krodha Upajayate, that is a 62. And from anger, like Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, that is 63. Okay. So we'll see in this chart. The first step, Krishna said, contemplating, dhyayato vishayan punsaha, dhyayato vishayan punsaha, contemplating the objects of senses. So I'll repeat this again. We have different senses. Senses called sense of vision, sense of smelling, sense of tasting, sense of hearing, everything on this upper part, everything on this head. Right? So these are called gnanendriya, like knowledge acquiring senses. Knowledge acquiring senses. These senses are good. We acquire knowledge, but these senses sometimes create problems to us, right? Because of uncontrolled mind and uncontrolled senses, how they'll get agitated. That's it starts with senses in contact with sense objects. I'll take example of a car. We can put any examples here. Sense object could be a car, a gold, a house, right? A woman, a beautiful woman, or anything attractive, that pulls us down, that creates hankering in us. That is a sense object. Okay, so senses in contact with the sense object. I look at the car, right, and I start thinking about the car. Wow, what a beautiful car! It's an expensive car. It's all the wonderful features. I'm starting contemplating on that. I'm thinking about that object car again and again, again and again. I Google it. I talk to friends. I'll go to the store. I'll do all kind of things. 24/7 thinking about an object. 24/7 thinking about an object. Right? How it started? It started with senses in contact with sense object. I looked at the car. I got agitated, and I'm thinking about it again and again, again and again. So car is an example. We can put anything here. Okay. So by keep on thinking about it, Dhyaito Vishan Punsa, Sangas Sangopajayate, one develops attachment to it. One develops attachment to it. Right? He's too much attached to learn more and more about it. Works very hard to gain knowledge about it. Right? And that attachment leads to lust. It's a desire. It develops a desire. I want it. I want it right now. I want it for my enjoyment. I'll do whatever it takes to attain it. That's called lust, right? So it started with senses, contact sense objects. I'm thinking about it. I'm attached to it. I want to, I developed a desire to attain it for my enjoyment. That's called lust. Intensified desire is lust. So what happens? The desire is fulfilled. If I buy a car, right? If I buy a car and the desire is fulfilled. This section is not in this verse though, but this is an add-on. So when the desire is fulfilled, I bought the car. I'm nicely taking care of the car, right? It becomes a greed. It stays for some time. The happiness derived from an object stays only for a certain time. But when I look at the new model, brand new model of the car, again, problem starts. It develops into greed. When the lust is satisfied, I want that more again and again, more of those. It turns into greed. And because of the greed, one starts thinking about it again. It's a loop. Right? Conversely, when the lust, what I want, if I didn't attain it, right? The lust is not fulfilled. Lust is not fulfilled. I want this car. I want this object, but this object is not, I'm not getting that object, right? Despite hard efforts, I'm not getting that object, right? So what happens? It turns into greed. I want it. I desperately want it. Why I'm not getting it? The zone of anger. The zone of anger is why I'm not getting it. Right? So that anger, I should get it, I must get it, I'll do whatever it takes to get it. Right? When the anger is intensified, mind is clouded, complete delusion happens. The mind is clouded, memory is bewildered, right? He cannot think properly. Intelligence is lost. That intelligence is like discriminating power. So two things here. One is a memory, bewilderment of memory. That means like mind has three functions. That is thinking, willing, and feeling. Right? So he cannot think properly, and he's because of high anger, his thinking power is lost. And intelligence does three things like determination, discrimination, and other thing. But discrimination power is lost. Mind is because of uncontrolled anger. I'll repeat, because of uncontrolled anger. I want something, I'm not getting it, I'm angry now, right? My mind is clouded, right? I started dealing at people, my discriminating power is lost. Dharma, adharma, everything we don't see. And the discrimination power is lost, what happens? Falls down again into material pool. One falls down, his consciousness, a stable state of mind is lost. Stable state of mind is lost. And humans end up behaving like an animals because their desires are not fulfilled. How it all started? By senses in contact with sense objects. So in this regard, there is nothing wrong in possessing something. There is nothing wrong, right? So one can, for their needs, one can get a car, one can get a nice house, all their, one can desire, one can fulfill their desires. There is nothing wrong fulfilling their desires, okay? But when they're in the pursuit of fulfilling their desires, in the pursuit of fulfilling their happiness, and then that goes out of bound, it creates problems. So there is something like a yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya means one can possess whatever they want, right? As much as needed. And use it as a service of the Supreme Lord, as a service of the Supreme Lord. That way, one would not get attached to, or one would not get hankering for many things, right? For example, I have this house. I have this house. I'll use this house in the service of Supreme Lord. That way, I don't hanker for something more than this. I'm happy with what I have. I consider this as a God mercy. Right? Senses go in contact with $1 million house. I want this $1 million house, right? Then one would get, we'll see what happens in a few verses, but one could go beyond this dharmic scope. Okay. So in this verse, Krishna is saying how one would get fall down, how one falls down from his path. Since it starts with senses in contact with sense object, and one would meditate on it, he develops attachment to it. When attachment is fulfilled, it becomes greed. When attachment is not fulfilled, it becomes lust. Sorry, when the lust is not fulfilled, it becomes greed. Anger. Due to uncontrolled anger, memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and one would falls down. His mental state is lost. Okay, anger management. So when we are angry, this is how we look, right? This is how we look. Our state of mind is not normal. Our state of bodily consciousness is not normal. Our state of consciousness is not normal, right? This is how we look. So what is anger? Anger is a natural emotion. It's a natural emotion, right? So when something going against or what we want, we get angry. And maybe I'll ask someone, what causes anger? You can put it in the chat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
And
Like when we I think in the previous slide it was like attachment to sense objects. Like we are attached to something and if we don't get it or there are obstacles in the path, that causes anger, Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah. So we would desperately want of something, we are not getting it, we'll get irritated, frustrated, and we'll get angry. So that is one thing. And also one would get angry for various reasons, right? If something is not going according to my will, I want everything to go according to my plan, right? Things are not happening according to my plan, right? So one would get disgusted and gets into angry. So the question comes, is anger good or bad? Is anger good or bad? Is being angry good or bad? What's wrong with anger? Maybe someone unmute and speak. Is anger good or bad? Or put it in the Zoom chat.
It disturbs the equilibrium, Prabhu. Like, it disturbs our thought process or the calm. I mean, we will not be able to think, in a rational manner.
Yeah. So it's bad or good or bad?
It's bad. It's bad.
Is it a good side of anger? Is anger good?
I mean, for the right reason, Prabhu. Like, if it's only for the right purpose.
Yeah, very nice. So there are Aditya, Prabhu, you want to say something? You were unmute.
Yeah, I was thinking sometimes in anger we take some decisions. Sometimes those decisions can be constructive or destructive. So if we are taking some constructive with anger, if it helps to be constructive, then I think that case it is good. But in majority of the cases, it is bad.
Yeah, thank you. So there are two sides of anger. One is good side of anger and bad side of anger, right? So Hanuman was angry. With great anger, he destroyed the whole Lanka, right? So and everybody appreciated it, right? And a soldier on the battlefield, he with great anger, he kills the enemies and opposite parties. Everybody appreciates it, right? And if a teacher need to discipline a child, a teacher has to be angry certain times, right? So anger in itself is not bad. Anger in itself is not bad. When anger which is in controlled, in the scope, which is in controlled anger, that is good, and which is for a good purpose, for a good reason, that is good. There is an anger which one would get for various other reasons. So a bad side of anger, right? So when we wanted something which we are not getting it, things are not going right, and it's out of ego or various other reasons, right? Our ego is not satisfied, then we'll really get angry. So what are the consequences of anger? We'll see that. What are the consequences of anger? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti nirvama. Krishna nicely gave that step-by-step process there, right? So in general, what happens when you're angry? We look like this, right? So much blood flows into our head, right? Our face will become pale red, and our eyes will become red, right? And our thinking power is lost. We yell at people, or discriminating power is lost. We scream at people, and it has its effect. The anger, the bad side of anger, has its effect on the body, physical body. It is damaging to physical body, and it is also damaging to our consciousness. Repeated episodes of anger, mind cannot be peace. Mind cannot be in peace. Right? So one need to identify, am I having these repeated episodes of anger, right? So then I have to strive for identify the problem and work towards it, right? So these are the consequences of anger. If a person is really angry, it has its impact on the body level. It creates a damage to our body and also to our consciousness. Mind cannot be in a stable state. Okay. So how to control anger? We'll see this one. How to control anger. There are two things. One is preventive versus curative. Preventive. Let's look at preventive. Preventive is like before the anger, what one can do to make sure that anger doesn't arise. Right? So it's like coronavirus. We'll take the example of coronavirus. Right? If there is a coronavirus, I can take the vaccination. I can take the vaccination, so I'll be immune. And even though coronavirus is around me, I'm not affected. That is preventive. Right? And curative is after I got the coronavirus. After I get the coronavirus, if I take a medicine, I need to take a medicine to solve it. Right? That is curative. So we look at both sides of it. The preventive side. So Krishna gives the reason in third chapter. In the third chapter, that what is the root cause of anger? What is the root cause of anger? Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava. So their anger is born out of Rajoguna. Rajoguna. So what is Rajoguna? So we have three gunas. Mode of goodness, that is Sattva Guna. Mode of passion, that is Rajoguna. And mode of ignorance, that is Tamoguna. Throughout our life, throughout any day, we'll be in these modes. Either of these three modes or a mix of these three modes. Sattva, Raja, and Tamo. So because of mode of Sattva, we can experience it. If we get up from the bed, our mind is cool, peaceful, right? So that is a state of Sattva Guna. Rajoguna, we are disturbed, distracted, agitated, right? Angry, right? And we have intensive desires, like hankering. These are all from Rajoguna, right? And Tamoguna. Tamoguna is laziness, sleepy and tired. Even in the 10 o'clock, we'll sleep on the right on the desk. Right? That is because of Tamoguna. So we have these three gunas: Rajoguna, Satoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. Three gunas. Okay. So this anger, which is born out of Rajoguna, that we can prevent. That is a preventive thing I'm talking about. Okay. Before this anger come into, one can immunize oneself. One can immunize oneself to make sure this anger, repeated episodes of anger doesn't arise. How to immunize? Right? By practice, by practice of meditation, like breathing exercise, or devoted to the Lord. That's the best way. Krishna says Bhakti Yoga, and the process of Bhakti Yoga, by meditating on the holy name of the Lord, connecting our mind towards the Lord, one would come from this Rajoguna to Sattva-guna, right? Lower guna is Tamoguna, step 0. Step 1 is Rajoguna, and step 2 is Sattva-guna, right? So one would come from the lower modes to the upper mode. Upper mode is the Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna is, by Sattva-guna, one's mind is peace, calm, peaceful, right? So, for example, when we get up from the bed, okay, if someone comes at us and screams at us, we don't react to it immediately, right? We are in the mode of goodness, because of the mode of goodness, or we don't react to them immediately, we'll just think for a bit, right? So if you do meditation and if something is not going wrong, child is creating a problem, you look at them, but you'll not get disturbed, you'll not get agitated. But when you're in the Rajoguna, the same incident is same. Child is messing up something. When I'm in the Rajoguna, my mind is agitated already. I'll yell it. I'll go. This anger came into picture, and anger comes out of this Rajoguna. The incident is same. But according to our guna, we act differently. This is the point. The incident is same. Our children are making mess. When I'm in Sattva-guna, I'm reacting in one way, and Rajoguna, I'm reacting in a different way. So the preventive way is to come out of Rajoguna, come to the stage of Sattva-guna, develop Sattva-guna. How to develop Sattva-guna? By developing sattvic qualities. How to develop sattvic qualities? By meditation on Supreme Lord, or eating, and also eating. Diet is also very important. One has to eat sattvic food. What is sattvic food? The food which we get in temple, simple. The food which is offered to the Lord and which is sanctified and which is pure. That food is called, that is a sattvic food. When one eats the sattvic food, one develops sattvic guna. When one is in a sattvic guna, the effect is less. That is preventive. Curative. Right? The problem already started. We are already angry now. What should I do now? No, I got angry now. What should I do? So if you see the touch me not plant, right? So if you look at the plant, if you go and touch, action is I'm going and touching this plant. The reaction to the plant is it folds. It folds itself, right? Action is touching, reaction is fold, right? So we have some impulses, trigger points. Everybody has their own trigger points that would trigger anger, right? That would trigger anger. What we need to do, we need to identify the trigger points, and delay this reaction. Not reacting immediately, like the touch me not plant, right? React immediately. We need to increase the span of that. I know it's hard, but we need to work towards. If someone has this problem, so everybody has this problem, right? We need to work towards increasing the span of action reaction span, right? So that way, when this unavoidable situation comes, we can identify the trigger points and increase the duration of our reaction. If you're reacting to it immediately, that will go into this anger zone, right? Red zone. If you delay the reaction, just think for a moment and delay the reaction, at least by calming down ourselves, right? You can delay the reaction, we'll go into the green zone slowly. Preventive and curative is all. So how to delay that action to reaction? Again, the mode of Sattva Guna. When one develops the mode of Sattva Guna, sattvic qualities, one can delay this reaction. Okay. I'll go into the next verse. Hope I'm not overwhelming with many things. Yeah. So 64 verse, Krishna says, attaining prasada, peace of mind. One would get peace of mind. How one would get peace of mind? In previous verse, Krishna says, when the mind is uncontrolled, one would fall down, right? So if the mind is controlled, when one is free from attachment, aversion, is not too much attached. In the previous verse, Krishna said, if one is too much attached. In this verse, Krishna saying one is not too much attached, right? And not hate anything, and engage his senses with the controlled mind. It's a very, very important thing. Krishna is not saying not to engage senses on the sense objects. Krishna is not saying that. Senses in contact with sense objects, mind will get agitated, right? So due to uncontrolled mind, will fall down. But when we control our mind, with a controlled mind, there is no fall down, right? And when the mind is controlled, we are in peaceful state. So senses need to be fixed on something, right? So of course, it's a very natural when we pulled away, but when we put our mind and intelligence on the Supreme Lord, this hankering, whatever the hankering will slowly calm down. This Rajo and Tamo Guna will slowly calm down, and mind will be in peaceful state. Okay. So in our scriptures, there are a few terms, that is Rogi, Bhogi, Yogi, and Bhakta. Right? So Rogi is someone who is self-harming. Right? He's hankering for enjoying through senses, is out of this dharmic zone, in the pursuit of enjoying through senses, is out of the dharmic zone. Right? He creates problem to himself. Right? That's a Rogi. Our scripture said such a person is a Rogi. But a Bhogi is someone, is a pleasure seeker. Everyone falls into this category. Most of the people fall into this category. We all fall into this category, Bhogi, right? Which is in the dharmic zone, and overindulgence, right? If I eat one gulab jamun, right, I want to eat one more. I want to eat one more. Keep on eating. Mind, the senses are pulling us, right, towards eating that again and again. Right? That's overindulgence with sensual pleasure. It's called a bhogi. Such a person is called a bhogi. A person is called a yogi when he tries to pull his senses from sense objects, right? Controlling his senses. I think most of us also fall into this category, right? So when we regulate our senses from sense objects, not letting it pull towards itself, right? So when you regulate, that's when we call as a yogi. Yogi is also a seeker of truth. The seeker of truth is about, a yogi is someone who is full knowledge about how this, we also attain this knowledge today, how these senses pull from the sense objects, how these senses in contact with sense objects, our conscious is lost, our mind is uncontrolled. The yogi is very well situated. He has a purpose in life. The purpose is self-realization, to attain the Supreme Lord, right? That way, he's not too much attached to any external things. His happiness is internal thing. Such a person is called a yogi. And there's a last category is bhakta, a devotee. He also enjoys his senses, but he enjoys his senses as a service to the Supreme Lord. He also eats, not for his enjoyment, not for his enjoyment, but for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, like a prasadam of the Supreme Lord. Possess many things, like a nice house, gold, wealth, everything. But he's totally detached from these things. He's not hankering for those things when they don't have. He's not hankering for those things when they don't have. When they come into their life, his life, he doesn't think it's because of him he attained. He remained detached. He knows very well. He engages his senses very well onto the Supreme Lord. He accepts the thing. Whatever he gets, he still accepts the thing. Whatever is coming in its own accord, he still accepts the thing and accepts as a service to the Supreme Lord, engages his senses into the Supreme Lord as a service. It's already 7:32. We are in 65 and we have a few more verses. Should I continue to complete this chapter, or if you have any questions, we can take. Okay, maybe I'll stop here. I know we'll have many questions, so we can talk through. And these are very few slokas. I mean, 65 to 72 is not so technical. We'll go through this next session, and in the next session we'll also start chapter 3. Most likely we'll start chapter 3. So as always, I'll complete this chapter, second chapter, like 72, 72nd verse also we'll see, and I'll give an overview of full chapter, second chapter, right? And if time permits, we'll start chapter 3, and we look at chapter 3 overview also in a high level, super high level. Okay, I'll stop here. If you have any questions, thoughts, sharings, you can take now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.